In the late 18th century, Saint-Domingue was the richest colony in the world. Its sugar, coffee, and indigo plantations made France incredibly wealthy. But this wealth came at a horrific cost: the enslavement and brutal exploitation of millions of African people. The story of Haiti begins long before the revolution. In 1492, Christopher Columbus landed on the island of Hispaniola, claiming it for Spain. The Spanish colonized the island, enslaving the indigenous Taino people and forcing them to work in gold mines. Within decades, the Taino population was decimated by disease, violence, and exploitation. Between the 16th and 19th centuries, over 12 million Africans were forcibly taken from their homes and transported across the Atlantic as part of the transatlantic slave trade. Hundreds of thousands of these enslaved Africans were brought to Saint-Domingue, where they endured unimaginable suffering. The spark that ignited the Haitian Revolution came from an unlikely source: the French Revolution of 1789. The ideals of liberty, equality, and fraternity spread across the Atlantic, reaching the enslaved people of Saint-Domingue. They dared to ask, if the French could fight for their freedom, why couldn't we? In August 1791, the enslaved people of Saint-Domingue rose up in a massive rebellion, led by figures like Boukman Dutty, a Vodou priest, and Toussaint Louverture. They set fire to plantations, freed their fellow captives, and fought for their freedom. Toussaint Louverture emerged as the revolution's most brilliant leader. A self-taught military strategist, he united the enslaved people, free people of color, and even some white colonists under the banner of freedom. By 1801, he had taken control of the entire island of Hispaniola, abolishing slavery. When the slave uprising began in August 1791, Toussaint Louverture was not yet a well-known leader. In fact, he did not join the initial wave of violence that saw thousands of plantations burned to the ground. Instead, he waited, observed, and planned. Toussaint was different from most rebel leaders. He was literate, had studied military tactics, and understood diplomacy. Most importantly, he had something no other rebel leader had: connections to powerful free black and mixed-race landowners, as well as European officials. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, France was at war. The French Revolution had turned the world upside down. The execution of King Louis XVI in January 1793 sent shockwaves through Europe. In response, Spain, Britain, and other monarchies declared war on revolutionary France, hoping to restore the monarchy and crush the revolution. While chaos engulfed Saint-Domingue, Toussaint saw an opportunity. He began secretly recruiting disciplined fighters from among the rebels. Many of them were newly arrived Africans, former warriors who had been enslaved only a few years earlier. Unlike the plantation-born enslaved, they had battlefield experience. Toussaint focused on organizing them into structured units, rather than relying on chaotic, uncoordinated attacks. His ability to communicate in multiple languages, French, Creole, and African dialects, helped him unite different factions of the uprising. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, France was at war. The French Revolution had turned the world upside down. The execution of King Louis XVI in January 1793 sent shockwaves through Europe. In response, Spain, Britain, and other monarchies declared war on revolutionary France, hoping to restore the monarchy and crush the revolution. Spain saw an opportunity to weaken France by attacking its colonies. From their base in Santo Domingo, modern-day Dominican Republic, Spanish forces began arming and funding black rebels in Saint-Domingue, hoping to use them to defeat the French. This is where Toussaint Louverture made his move. He joined the Spanish in early 1793, bringing with him a small but disciplined force of former enslaved fighters. In return, Spain provided muskets, gunpowder, and military training. Unlike other rebel groups who relied on machetes and stolen French weapons, Toussaint's forces now had access to European firepower. Toussaint quickly proved himself on the battlefield. Using guerrilla tactics, ambushes, and surprise attacks, he defeated multiple French forces, taking control of key territories in the north. By 1794, he commanded an army of over 4,000 well-trained men, and his reputation as a military genius was growing. But then everything changed. In 1794, the French Republic abolished slavery throughout its empire. Toussaint now faced a choice: continue fighting for Spain, which still supported slavery, or join the French, who had just granted freedom to all former slaves. Toussaint chose freedom. He betrayed the Spanish, switched sides to the French, and turned his forces against his former allies. With the help of French reinforcements, he pushed the Spanish completely out of Saint-Domingue by 1795. Within a year, Toussaint had driven the Spanish out of northern Saint-Domingue and defeated British forces that had landed to take the colony. By 1801, Toussaint Louverture had gained control of the entire island of Hispaniola. His army was now over 20,000 strong, and France had no choice but to recognize him as their top general. While Toussaint was battling the Spanish, the British had invaded Saint-Domingue in 1793, hoping to seize control of France's richest colony. With support from white plantation owners, they occupied key cities and ports. By 1795, they were still holding out, refusing to leave. But Toussaint knew their weakness: disease. Yellow fever was ravaging British troops, killing them by the thousands. Instead of attacking head-on, Toussaint used hit-and-run tactics, cutting off their supply lines and waiting for the fever to do its work. By 1798, after losing more than 15,000 men, the British had no choice but to retreat. Toussaint had once again outmaneuvered one of the world's greatest armies. The southern part of Saint-Domingue was ruled by André Rigaud, a powerful mixed-race leader and former French officer who refused to accept Toussaint Louverture's authority. Like many elite gens de couleur libre, free people of color, Rigaud considered himself part of the colonial elite and resented being ruled by a formerly enslaved black general. His followers, many of whom were freeborn and well-trained in European warfare, feared that Toussaint's rise would erase their influence and status in Saint-Domingue. After Toussaint expelled the British in 1798, he became the de facto ruler of the colony, but the South remained under Rigaud's control. Tensions between the two leaders escalated into a full-scale civil war, known as the War of the Knives, 1799 to 1800. Rigaud's militia launched a brutal campaign known as the Southern Massacres, executing thousands of Toussaint's black supporters. In response, Jean-Jacques Dessalines led a devastating counteroffensive, burning entire settlements that resisted. By July 1800, Rigaud's last stronghold, Jacmel, fell after a brutal siege. Defeated, he fled to France, leaving Toussaint as the undisputed ruler of Saint-Domingue. For Toussaint's army, this was more than a military victory. It was the final blow against the old colonial hierarchy, securing black leadership over the island for the first time in history. In July 1801, Toussaint took the boldest step of his career. He wrote a new constitution for Saint-Domingue. In it, he declared himself governor for life, with the power to choose his successor. The colony was now, in all but name, independent. But there was a problem. Toussaint never declared official independence from France. He still recognized Napoleon's rule, believing he could negotiate peace. But Napoleon saw it differently. To him, Toussaint was a threat, a black general who had defied French rule for too long. Napoleon had made his decision. He would send the largest military force ever deployed across the Atlantic to crush Toussaint, restore French rule, and bring back slavery. The French arrived with overwhelming force: cannons, warships, seasoned soldiers. Toussaint knew his army was outgunned and outnumbered, but he also knew one thing the French didn't: how to fight in the mountains of Saint-Domingue. Rather than fight in open battle, Toussaint ordered a scorched earth campaign, burning fields, poisoning wells, and forcing the French into brutal mountain warfare. The greatest battle of Toussaint's life was about to begin. By 1801, Toussaint Louverture had done the impossible. He had abolished slavery across the entire island of Hispaniola, crushed his rivals, and ruled as governor for life. But across the ocean, a storm was brewing. Napoleon Bonaparte, furious at Toussaint's defiance, had made his decision. Saint-Domingue must be reconquered, slavery restored, and Toussaint eliminated. In early 1802, 50,000 French soldiers under General Charles Leclerc, Napoleon's own brother-in-law, landed on Saint-Domingue's shores. It was the largest military force ever sent across the Atlantic. The war for Haiti's survival had begun. Realizing that war alone would not defeat Toussaint, General Leclerc changed tactics. He offered peace. Toussaint, believing that negotiations might save his people from further suffering, agreed to meet. But it was a trap. He was arrested and shipped to France, where he was imprisoned in the cold, damp fortress of Joux. On April 7, 1803, he died of neglect and starvation. But before he passed, he uttered a final warning. "In overthrowing me, you have only cut down the trunk of the tree of liberty, but its roots are deep and they will grow again." If the French thought capturing Toussaint would end the war, they were dead wrong. His most brutal and fearless general, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, now took command. And unlike Toussaint, Dessalines was not interested in peace. He was interested in revenge. By late 1802, the tide of war had turned. The same disease that had wiped out the British years earlier, yellow fever, now ravaged the French army. Tens of thousands of Napoleon's best soldiers were dying before they even reached battle. Dessalines seized the moment, launching a full-scale offensive. On November 18, 1703, Dessalines and his generals faced the last remnants of the French army at the Battle of Louverture. Outnumbered and demoralized, the French fought desperately, but the revolutionaries fought harder. By nightfall, the battle was over. The French had lost. Napoleon's forces had been completely destroyed. On December 4, 1803, the last French warship sailed away from Saint-Domingue, never to return. The war was over. The revolution had won. At the height of his power, Napoleon embarked on this ambitious campaign, a venture that would mark his first major military setback. The disastrous Haitian expedition not only halted his colonial ambitions, but also signaled a turning point in his military career. Amid these dynamics, a pervasive fear gripped U.S. leaders and neighboring nations. The momentum of the Haitian Revolutionary Army was seen as a potential threat to mainland North America. There were concerns that if the revolutionaries ever left the island, their anti-slavery insurgency could spread unchecked into U.S. territory, particularly through New Orleans, a former French territory where many slave owners had fled during and after the conflict, a region where the American army was ill-prepared to counter such a force. Ultimately, however, the Haitian forces remained on the island, focusing on consolidating their hard-won freedom. Those in power did everything they could to keep news of the Haitian rebellion and victory from reaching the slave masses. They could never know that a group of rebel slaves were able to defeat over 70,000 soldiers across every European power. With his imperial ambitions in ruins, Napoleon was forced to reconsider his empire, a recalibration that led directly to the Louisiana Purchase in 1803. By offloading the vast Louisiana territory, he enabled the United States to double its size overnight. This dramatic expansion ignited fierce congressional debates over the future of slavery. These debates deeply divided the nation along north-south lines. As northern states increasingly opposed the expansion of slavery, southern states clung to the institution as the backbone of their agrarian economy. This polarization sowed the seeds of sectional strife that would eventually culminate in the Civil War and the eventual abolition of slavery. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic, as a result of these events, public pressure and economic changes had led Britain to abolish the slave trade in 1807 and the move toward the abolition of slavery, culminating in the Slavery Abolition Act of 1833. The British example resonated with American abolitionists and added moral weight to the growing anti-slavery movement in the United States. With the French gone, Dessalines gathered his people. On January 1, 1804, he declared the birth of a new nation. Saint-Domingue was no more. From its ashes rose Haiti, the world's first black republic and the first country in history to be founded by formerly enslaved people. But Dessalines made one thing clear: there would be no more forgiveness. The remaining French colonists were hunted down and executed. Haiti was free, and it would never allow slavery to return. Across the world, Haiti's revolution sent shockwaves through the system of slavery. It was a message to the oppressed everywhere. Freedom is not given, it is taken. The Haitian Revolution was more than a war. It was a statement to history. It proved that no empire, no military, and no system of oppression was invincible. Against all odds, the people of Haiti had defeated the most powerful armies in the world and forged their own destiny. Haiti's journey is more than a story. It's a powerful reminder that resistance, courage, and hope have the power to reshape the future. In every struggle, there's an opportunity to rise above and transform our world. In Haiti's legacy, we witness how profound strength can emerge from deep struggle, a reminder that hope can transform even the darkest moments. Let this story inspire us to reflect on our own capacity for resilience and unity. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into history's hidden truths. See you in the next video.
No fear, no doubt, trust in the Lord. Cut away, make your heart restore. Heavy load we carry long, but His light go make us strong. No more running, no disguise. Circumcise your heart, arise. No be strength, no be might. Now His hand they show the light. Step by step we hold on tight. Faith go guide us through the night. Hey, no wahala we go there. No fear, no shaker. Faith go guide us through the night. Lord, I'm a santan. Bine chutai como de nada. Bine sentir bebê vision. Tá pro que me blisren. No more money, no vision. Que keep on a book que na qua. No more manji de dila. Repeat show the brother man. My beru. Oh, feedback, no fear, no doubt, trust in the Lord. Cut away, make your heart restore. Heavy load we carry long, but His light go make us strong. No more running, no disguise. Circumcise your heart, arise. No be strength, no be might. Now His hand they show the light. Step by step we hold on tight. Faith go guide us through the night.